Hi friends of decent fretboard animations. Today let's look at how to move the major triad all over the fretboard, both horizontally and vertically. Here's a D major triad. It consists of the root labeled 1, the major third labeled 3 and the fifth labeled 5. The root labeled 1 is the D on the 3rd fret of the B string. This chord voicing uses the high strings only. So it is most useful if you play along with a bass player or a guitar buddy who plays the full bar chords. If you're familiar with bar chords, this of course relates to the D shape. Back to the high string set. Let's move the chord vertically down one string. Note that we need to adjust for the tuning of the B and G strings by lowering the note on the G string. If you're familiar with bar chords, this of course relates to the A shape. We can move this shape horizontally up the neck to the 7th fret to make it a D chord. Notice that this chord has the exact same notes as the D chord we started with. Back to the A chord on the medium string set with the root A on the 2nd fret on the G string. We can keep going and move the A chord vertically down one more string. Again, we have to adjust for the tuning of the B and G strings by lowering the note on the G string. If you're familiar with bar chords, this of course relates to the E shape. Let's move the E chord up one string to the A chord. And one more string up to the D chord where we started. Okay, let's go to the next inversion of the D major chord. Again we have a D chord, but this time the root labeled 1 is on the 7th fret of the G string. And of course, this relates to the A shape of the bar chords. Back to the D chord on the high string set. Let's move it down one string so that the root is on the 5th fret of the D string and do the adjustment for the tuning of the G and B strings. And of course, this relates to the E shape that you are familiar with. Back to the A chord on the medium string set. Let's move the chord one more string down, which again gives us an E chord with the root labeled 1 as on the 7th fret of the A string. And as you probably have noticed, this corresponds to the C shape. Just for fun, let's move the C shape up one string and make it an E shape. And finally let's move the E shape up one string and make it an A shape. And back to the D triad we started with. Let's move to the last inversion of the D triad with the root labeled 1 on the 10th fret of the high E string. As you have probably noticed, this corresponds to the E shape of the D bar chord on the 10th fret. Back to the D triad on the high string set. Let's move the chord down one string, which gives us a chord with the root labeled 1 as on the 10th fret of the B string. This corresponds to the C shape of the A chord on the 9th fret. Back to the voicing of the A chord in the medium string set. Let's move the shape on more string down and adjust for the tuning of the B and G strings. This gives us an E chord again. This chord voicing relates to the G shape of the bar chords. Back to the triad. Finally, let's move back to where we came from. Here is the D triad on the high string set that we started with. That's it. Thanks for watching. If you find this useful, please press the like button and subscribe. If you like, you can buy me a coffee at www.buymeacoffee.com/ankajazz.